Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. It's Gaming Friday. I'm Gary.
I'm Geoff.
And today, Geoff, I'm going to introduce you and everyone else to Dark Souls 3.
Ah, okay.
And this game has been upsetting the holy living hell out of me these last few weeks.
Has it?
It is infuriating.
It's what it's designed to be, Gary. It's what it's designed to be.
But that is exactly what I'm enjoying about of a Dark Souls game. I have been excited, and I counted down the days until the release of this game. And I actually got the release date quite wrong as well. Because I actually got the Japanese release date, and then realised I had to wait like another 4 to 5 weeks for a UK release.
No, From Software, why?
Well, you know, From Software are a Japanese company, and so they wanted to release it in Japan first, and so I could understand that. But what kind of irritated me though was that everyone decided, well, okay, I'm just going to make a Japanese account and just go and download it in America and in the UK from my Xbox anyway. Yeah. So screw you, release time, dates.
Why not?
And so, you know, 2 days after the game came out, there was already people completing it and doing Twitch stream runs of it. And I was like, well, it's not even out yet. Like, spoiling it.
Yeah. I guess if you're going to sit and watch one, then you don't care about it being spoiled for you, but...
Well, I just wanted to have a tease. I mean, I expected to be playing it myself, so I was like, I'm just going to go and have a quick look, see what other people are doing.
I think you must have a masochistic streak, Gary.
Pretty
much all Souls players do, don't they?
They do indeed, and this is my actual third Souls game. Demon Souls, which came out back in 2009, was a PlayStation exclusive. I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. And when Dark Souls came out for the Xbox, I stayed away from it. I stayed the hell away. I heard the issues and problems people had with Demon Souls. I was like, I'm not going to touch that. I don't need to stress myself out. But then I did anyway.
Yeah. And you're glad you did.
And I'm so glad I did, because Dark Souls 1 became one of my favourite games of all time.
Right.
Because I was sick and tired of being handheld through so many games. It was finally time for me to learn how to play a game again, because it felt old school in its design, and in its combat system, and it was punishingly difficult, but it was also at the same time incredibly rewarding when you figured out how to get past a level, how to defeat a boss, how to make progress, how to level up correctly. That it just became an addictive drug was to play Dark Souls. And then of course, as soon as I finished Dark Souls, I played it through again, and then again, and I actually got the full 1,000 achievement points out of Dark Souls 1.
Wow.
Just in time for Dark Souls 2 to come out, which I will say is the easier of all the Souls games that I have played.
Right.
Simply because they changed the dynamic where enemies no longer respawned after you killed them a certain times, so that you could eventually just have a ghost town walk from the bonfire to the boss fight.
Right, okay.
Which just made life so much easier.
So they brought back infinite spawning for 3 then?
Infinite spawning is back for 3, except for particular sort of named enemies or certain sort of mid-boss enemies. You kill them once and they won't respawn. Okay. So that's pretty much the main change between 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, I didn't play Demon Souls, and of course I... Bloodborne, which was also again a PlayStation exclusive.
Yep. So I mean, the Dark Souls. I've played Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
Never played Demon Souls. Dark Souls 2 passed me by as well. I mean, and Dark Souls 3 is probably going to do the same, because although I appreciate the Souls games, I appreciate them for what they are. Not especially my cup of tea. I can get into them and enjoy playing them, but there is a point where I do begin to get a little bit bored with them, and I don't think I could sink hundreds and hundreds of hours into them like some people do. However, like you say, it's got that old school mechanic. It's a high skill level game where, you know, you have to have precision timing, and you have to understand the way your character and the boss characters or your enemy characters move, so that you can kind of, you know, match the two and to defeat them. It is very Japanese style.
It is indeed.
In its game design. But yeah, I really do appreciate it, and I can see why people get completely sucked into it, because, like you say, it doesn't hold your hand, it doesn't really explain very much. Like right now, you're making a new character.
I am making a new character. I was hoping to have completed this game before I actually would give it a solid review.
Yeah.
I am inches away from the end game, so I've decided, instead of showing you where my character is right now and at the end of the game, I decided it might be best just to create a new character and start from the beginning. And I know many people might have already seen the beginning, but I don't want to jump to the end because that's where my character is right now.
So already, like, you come in to create a character, it's pretty like...
It's pretty formulaic, it's very general. I mean, you can go into the face presets and you can go into the appearance and make all of these fine modification changes. You can also create a monster if you want to, with pink and purple hair and tattoos and discolorment, disfiguration.
It's got all your typical RPG cliches, but one thing that's noticeably absent from this, compared to, say, something like Fallout, is there's a complete absence of explanation of...
All you have to do is press one button, and it brings up a help, and you just scroll over everything that you want to, and it will explain what everything does. Okay. Now, that does not immediately make you an expert at building characters in this game, because you can... one of the most punishing things about this game's difficulty is that it doesn't have a standard easy, normal, medium, hard, fuck you difficulty. It just has a fuck you difficulty.
Yeah.
So if you do not your character correctly out of the gate, as you're going through the game, if you decide you're going to be a jack of all trades, you will be a master of none, and you will probably pay the price for it at certain points in the game.
Yeah.
I have experienced that myself through the Dark Souls games, where I would build myself a cleric who is good at using faith points and miracles. So I want to upgrade my faith. Yeah, I ended up upgrading my dexterity and my strength so that I could wield better, heavier weapons. But then when it came to actually using my magic, that was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So it does become a case of stick to what class you're going to build and keep focusing on it. Now, if I go to my status now, you can see if you can press the double squares button and you get the explanation, and so I can scroll through and I can see that Vigor governs HP. In attunement is basically how many attunement slots I get for magic. Endurance is my stamina, which means I can also attack longer and faster and sprint further. And so you can also scroll over to all the other things here, and it is a pretty daunting screen to look at first. It is in all the Souls games, because as you upgrade certain things, certain numbers will go up and down. And this game also has you have to worry about your equipment load, so that you stay nimble, because this game is all about dodging and rolling. It's all about the roll.
Yeah.
If you cannot roll properly, then you are going to have trouble later on.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole game is actually about move animations, isn't it? Like that, essentially, both yours and theirs.
Yes.
And understanding how to match the two, essentially, like, or use your move animation to the fullness of its advantage, depending on what weapons you have and what gear you load out with.
Now, one of the things that throws a lot of people off straight away is your button mashers, because you get into a fight and you're like, attack, attack, attack. Now, as you can see there, I attacked 3 times, and that was because I just spammed the attack button. Even though I'd killed the enemy and stopped attacking the trigger, my character was still performing these animations.
Yeah.
Now, the trick is the game remembers all of your inputs. So if I quickly keep spamming the attack button and I want to roll out of there, the game's going to keep hitting those attacks.
Okay.
So you need to be careful, because weapons will also have durability. They have their own health bars and will slowly deteriorate the longer you clang off the sides of walls and continue to hit enemies. There's also obviously ill effects that can degrade and destroy equipment and items pretty quickly as well. Okay. If you're new to the Dark Souls world, bonfires are your greatest friends.
Yep.
Because at a bonfire, you get all of your health kits back, you regen your stamina, your life, and you also respawn every single monster that you've just defeated. So it's a two-way street. Rest of the bonfire, get all your items back, all your health back, and all the enemies come back.
So is this the same engine as the Dark Souls 1 and 2? It looks like it might be the same
I
one.
think it's probably the same engine. I mean, this game came out very close to Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne, really. I think it is the same engine. It definitely feels like the same fighting mechanic.
Yeah.
Nothing new, really.
Yeah.
But what it is, it's just well polished. Now, I was going to say now, one of my gripes for the Dark Souls games is in the combat system, because there is a lock-on, and it just requires you to press the right analog stick, which I'll do now, and you can see I'm locked on now. There's a little white orb on the character. Yep. But sometimes the lock-on doesn't always work. You've got to have the camera correctly on them, and I mistimed that, but I still got him.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the lock-on system has got me killed more than once, because sometimes there'll be multiple enemies that you're trying to fight, and you'll lock onto the wrong one, and you'll just not be able to counter and parry and move out of the way in time.
Right.
Now, I'm just going to say now, there is a parry system, which is a case of pressing the left trigger at the exact time an enemy attacks.
Yeah.
I have made it... See, I am terrible at parrying. I'm trying to... Oh god! Oh god! I'm done. I thought I was gonna roll off the cliff and die.
Gonna get killed horribly. Just trying to parry.
But I found the best thing to do is to come up behind enemies and just get that back attack.
Yeah.
Because trying to parry enemies, pressing that left trigger at the exact same time, it doesn't work too well for me. It's not been very successful. I tend to die all the time. So it's a case of rolling and shield blocking out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to get ready now to face this boss battle, which I haven't had to do for about 2 weeks now since playing the game, so I'm hoping...
Okay.
I'm hoping...
So right away, you literally like spawned into the game and you've got a boss battle within moments.
It's kind of what happened in the first Dark Souls game as well.
The first Dark Souls game, isn't it? So they've gone... Well, it looks like they've gone a little bit more back to the original one in the third one.
Okay, so I'm going to get a few free hits in there, as you might have noticed me do.
Well,
stop! You'll also hear me shouting and swearing a lot and getting excited.
Yeah.
But that is the... this is what happens when you play the game.
Smashes you.
I was tempted with pre-recording the video so that I'd be able to talk coherently while playing the game.
Yeah.
But it's... Oh my god, I'm nearly dead. I gotta get out of there.
Drink your Estus
I gotta
flask.
drink my Estus flask. He's... Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Turning into a hideous mutated monster.
He's turning into a giant monster. He's gonna try and kill me. I found the best thing is just to stay round the back of him and try and avoid the body slams.
Yeah. Looks like
kind of reminds me of like a creature out of Resident Evil.
One more
but
hit.
just overly giant form.
And he's
I did it! I did it!
Yeah! The air of fire destroyed, and you got your coiled sword.
And of course, we get a new bonfire. My embers restored, so now I will have my... see, the difference between the two Souls games, between the first, sort of second and third, is that the story was that, and it is so amazing how dark it is that you are in a universe or a world where when people die, they sort of become hollow and continue to exist.
Yes.
And it's all about the kindling of the bonfires, and the sort of the High Lord sort of either has the choice at the end to burn the bonfire and start the whole cycle again, or to not burn the bonfire, in which case no one can ever go to the afterlife, really. They just sort of resurrect and come back to life and become even more hollowed.
Yeah.
In this one here, it's more about becoming unkindled. So right now I've used the Ember. That's enkindled me, so you can see that my health bar did take a jump once I became enkindled, and you can see I've got this fiery effect on me.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I die, I lose that fire. I lose that effect. My health bar will drop down, and I'll become unkindled, and I'll need to go and find more embers to bring myself back into the world, back to a stronger position. Now, one of the best things that, and then, you know, one of the absolute best things about Dark Souls for me is also the multiplayer system, the way that jolly cooperation works in the game.
Yeah.
And it's a case of you need to acquire a certain item, which I don't have yet, which you do get fairly early on in most of the Souls games.
I gotta say right now that this is one of the places where a lot of people like who are really into Dark Souls, they swear by multiplayer, they play a lot of PvP.
Yes.
But there is absolutely fuck all in the game to explain how you gotta do it, what you gotta do. You know,
exactly, but
it's one of the things where
joy.
you know, you got to get in the know really, and you got to go to the community and ask people, what do I do?
Well, I'll admit, throughout the first 2, and including this Dark Souls game, I frequently had to, well, not frequently, a couple of times I had to go to Google and go, how do I do this? How do I even find this next location? Because there's no map, there's no guide, there's no character to say, hey, you need to go that way. It's a case of, I'll explore over here and see what happens. Oh shit, there's a giant boss and I'm dead. Or it's a case of, oh, this area is a new area I can explore, and there's a new bonfire, and oh, there's new treasures over there, and how do I get over there? And oh, it's exciting again. But it doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't tell you where to go at all.
That is very much the principal ethos, isn't it, of Dark Souls? It's like, find it out for yourself.
And
or ask somebody.
or ask someone who's played the game before. I honestly do recommend it if you are a first-time Dark Souls player. Have a friend who has played the games before, and that they can sort of backseat game you a little bit, because part of the experience of playing the game is exploring and finding these new items. And then when you find an item, I always recommend you go into your inventory and then have a show the item info and read about it, because that's the only real way of figuring out what items do, who they belong to, how they work in the history of the world. For instance, and I also do really recommend that you play the Dark Souls games in order, because when you play this game, it's amazing knowing that you're coming back to an area that you haven't revisited. Well, you've revisited in a couple of years, but the world that you're living in has moved on thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, and yet some buildings remain. They've changed slightly, and in this world, again, people in the previous games, people died and resurrected. In this one, people just can't die.
Right.
It's because of the unkindling effect, and so there's some of the horrible, grotesque imagery of people that have just sat there, and then literally grown roots and grown into their surroundings. It's just this horribly depressing atmosphere of just brought home by this endlessly repeating music that's just also really depressing. There's no sign of hope whatsoever. The only sign of hope that you get is these messages written on the ground by other players who are also crying, giving in to despair, and committing suicide by just jumping off the highest ledges they can find.
Praise the sun.
Praise the sun, indeed.
Well, I think things looping back in on itself is a main theme of all 3 Souls.
Dark Souls 1.
It's a big theme of the level design as well.
Well, the level design in Dark Souls 1 is amazing, because you didn't get to fast travel. You didn't get to travel everywhere from the get-go. You had to earn it. You had to go and explore first. And so in Dark Souls 2, it was all about just fast travel. You just fast travel anywhere you wanted to. Once you've been to a new area, you just fast travel there again.
It was kind of like a point to point, wasn't it? It wasn't really like one in the same way of level design.
Well, it was the fact that you made all these shortcuts, and then you could go, oh, that was where that is, and that's where that is, so I can get there really quickly now by just going through these shortcuts that I've made. Dark Souls 2, teleport everywhere. Dark Souls 3, again, you can fast travel from anywhere that you want to from the get-go. But one of the great things is that as you move through the game, you do also a lot of the time come across doors which cannot be opened from this side or is locked. I mean, that's every door you come across. And then after a bit of exploring, you find a door and you open it, and you come across where you were to begin with. So that you can then eventually go from bonfire to the boss fight without having to navigate yourself through endless fights and groups of ambushes to get there. So you use up as little health as possible to get there. That being said, a good Souls player will be able to run from the bonfire to the boss fight through all those enemies without taking many hits anyway. So the best thing to do is to just run right past the enemies. That's how you speed run this game, and a lot of people do enjoy speed running the Souls games because of how difficult it is and how enjoyable it can be to overcome those odds, the challenge as it is.
Yeah, you can go on YouTube and see people have speedrun it in about an hour and a half already, haven't you?
People are playing this game, or the Dark Souls games, with the Guitar Hero guitars, which means they're using the yellow, blue, red, orange buttons and a wonky D-pad to move their character around and do combat. There was people playing the game online where people through the chat system were entering in the controls to the character. And so the character ended up doing all sorts of weird things, and of course they had to deal with the delay as well of fighting things. But people are always finding new and interesting ways to play the Souls games.
Make it harder.
I've said to people that are getting into the Souls for the first time, they're like, well, you know, how am I gonna do co-op on Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 1? People are still playing it.
Yeah.
Because the Dark Souls games, they've decided that, you know, they didn't release one every year, or they almost did. They've kind of staggered their releases, and they've said that, hey, Dark Souls 3 is the last one. They might make other games similar to it, but for now, the Dark Souls trilogy is it. So right now, at any point, you could just go, I'm going to go back and play Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3. It's not going to go anywhere. And I'm saying in my recommendation for this game, these 3 games are going to be timeless. You're always going to be able to enjoy playing these games. See, right now, because I'm enkindled, I can also see these summon signs on the floor. These are other players right now that are going, hey, you want me to help? I'll come and join your world and help you out. So I'm just going to say no to them right now, because they might end up going in a totally different direction.
So the summon signs are the way that you get into PvP and the way that you get into
there are
PvE/co-op.
There are covenants in the game, which will some of them are PvE focused, some are PvP focused, some are a mixture of both. There are covenants. Excuse me. There are covenants which they can invade automatically. They don't need to lay a summoning sign down on the floor. They will just come into your world and try to kill you. What do they get if they kill you? They get special. They get your souls, obviously, but they also get an item which they can take back to their covenant leader to get access to special magic weapons, items, etc. There's also, what I like is that there's like the Way of the Blue Covenant or a Dark Covenant, which if you get invaded by a Dark Soul and they are part of the sort of, you know, the police squad, they will come and invade your world too, but to assist you. So by no means of your own, you've been invaded, and then somebody comes into your world to invade. And it's like, well, these dark spirits and light spirits and sentinels and phantoms are all fighting around you, and it's like, what's going on? It's just the world of Dark Souls. And I just love that ever ongoing multiplayer sort of environment. Of course, what I do like in this game is that they've added the ability to sort of password lock in, so that if you're trying to literally find a friend and you don't want other people summoning you in, you can password lock your character so that only your friend can find you and bring you in, or it just makes finding each other a lot easier.
Yeah, that makes a lot. Because I remember in Dark Souls 1 when I was trying to do PvP with somebody, it was like you just had to keep trying, basically, and then eventually you might see the summon sign come up. And once you'd had one connection with somebody, then their summon sign would always come up for you. It would come up really easily. But it was a bit hit and miss to get the first one to come up.
It was. It really was.
So, I mean, is there really a story to talk of though on this? I mean, what is the
story is, of course, you're the chosen undead, or the chosen unkindled one, or whichever. You're the chosen one. And there are plenty of chosen ones. A lot of them give up along the way, or you'll find their corpses or their souls just scattered along as you go through the world. But you are trying to find in this game the Lords of Cinder, who in this world there was a bunch of them, and they decided, you know what, fuck it, we are not going to light the bonfire, no one can die, everyone's going to live forever, have at it. And so you are going to go and find all the chosen undead, all the previous Lords of Cinder, and kill them and take their ashes, so that people can die again and start the whole system all over again.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah, those are those rooted people I was talking about earlier. And of course, very early on in most Demon Souls, Dark Souls games, you get a dragon that turns up along a bridge and will fuck shit up. Now, what I like to do here is also...
I'm noticing a lot of parallels with the first one.
There is a lot of parallels with the first one, and like I said, what I like having played the first game is that when I come to this game, I'm like, oh, I was here before. Oh, I remember that. Oh, there's a nod to that boss that I killed, and how have things changed in the millennia since I've been back here? And that's the cool bits. It's like fan service in a Dark Souls game.
Yeah.
And of course, just quick nimbly there, dodge the dragon. I've not actually killed this dragon. I usually just run away from him. You can run up the other way back there, up the stairs.
Yeah, because the previous
but I'm gonna try
dragon,
and fight
he
this
had
knight.
He had a sword that you really wanted.
Well, you could
attack.
You could cheese attack him. Yeah, by attacking his tail and ripping his tail off.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm just gonna say that this knight right here on my cleric character on my first playthrough of this game killed me over and over and over again. This is the first real test of combat. It's coming across a guy who will fight almost like a guy in PvP would. Sword and shield, dodging, rolling, maneuvering away from you.
Badass.
It can make things incredibly difficult.
Your skills have improved enough to...
My skills have improved enough so I can sort of wander through this area, sort of not too fearful about what's to come.
Yeah,
but
although you're at half health.
I am at half health. Again, I'm not worried too much. What I'm worried about right now is how dark everything seems. There is a brightness option. Oh my god, I might nearly die there.
You're close, better drink your Estus flask.
Drink my Estus flask, and my Estus flask isn't healing me all the way up. Of course, it's a rank 1 Estus flask right now, and I can only carry so much. Oh, look at that, a door that can only be opened from the other side.
Ah, so there's your first... Yes, the 2 was not as critically enjoyed, was it?
There was a very good reason for that, and that was... The creator of the first Dark Souls game didn't work on the second game.
Right.
So, you do get a sense of the fact that he really was, the spearhead of the game. He knew how the design of the environment would work, and obviously him departing the second game meant that it was broken up into very linear sort of sections of game, which did open up and branch out, but it was a case of here's this area, that from this point to the end is some monsters and a boss at the end. Once you've done it, you'll fast travel to the next level. Whereas in this game, and I have also experienced this, where I have gone off in one direction, completely ignoring a bunch of NPC storyline quests, which I've now failed a bunch of them as a result of, because I went the wrong way. Had to fight a bunch of monsters that were way above my level. I just thought the game was being difficult here for whatever's sake. Eventually I cleared that area, and then when I went to carry on playing the game, the next area I went to was abnormally easy because I'd gone to the wrong area first. And the game obviously isn't going to tell you that. It's just going to be a case of, oh well, now you do this. But of course all the NPC storylines that I would have come across I'm now going to miss out upon. And that's my own fault essentially. Now, as we were saying with the story, there's a lot of NPC characters in the game that have story, that have missions that they want to go on. And if you do the right storylines, they will turn up in boss battles and make some of those boss battles a cakewalk. They'll literally kill the boss for you.
Right.
There are also... I'm getting the feeling, I mean, this is just my guessing here, that there's a character that returns from previous Dark Souls games, and I think he might have killed off some of the NPC characters that I've found and brought back to the hub world of the Firelink Shrine. Because when I went back there, their NPC characters were just laying down in a pool of blood on the floor. And I'm like, perhaps I should have killed that NPC and not let him live, because now he's killing all of my friends and he's selling their items. And that was also something that I liked about the Dark Souls games, was that you get new game pluses. So on one of those new game pluses, I decided to kill every NPC in the game, everybody, the Firelink Shrine keepers, everybody, and took all their items and all their weapons, made some weapons, then went on to new game plus, had all this really good stuff, and then all the characters were alive again because it's new game plus. So then I had the chance to go and do those NPC storylines, which again I highly recommend you Google, because they are so difficult to do. It's a case of, you know, being at the right place at the right time, letting a certain amount of time elapse before you go to the said boss, making sure you are enkindled or unhollow, finding the right items. It's a real quest, so it's not going to explain anything to you. You literally have to hope people have figured it out and can explain it to you in a succinct fashion that makes sense.
Yeah.
I also do recommend on your first playthrough, just play it. Don't worry about trying to mid-max your leveling and character and everything else. Just play it, enjoy the game, because there's a lot of times when you can get excited. It's exciting getting to a new area, to fight a new boss, to try and figure it out for yourself. It's the adventure, it's the thrill, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very blank sheet, isn't it? Like, you can do what you want, you can engage with the game as much as you want, and try and,
I think
like,
that's a pyromancer in there, I'm not sure.
Work out exactly what's going on, how much is here, you know, like... But this is one of the things about the Dark Souls games, is you've got to be the driving force behind working this stuff out, haven't you? Because it will, at no point will this game spoon feed you anything.
It certainly will not. No. Right now I'm struggling because I can't see anything. It is literally so dark.
So have you got all the same, pretty much the same weapons? Is there a new lineup of different sort of mechanics and weapons in 3 versus the other 2?
There are all of the weapons from previous Souls games have returned.
All of them.
Near enough all of them.
Okay.
And there are so many weapons. There are a ton of weapons to choose from. You'll never... There are weapons that I've never even equipped before, never even tried out, because I've never even built certain class types. So for me, there is still even more replayability in the game that I'm not aware of.
Okay.
Because there's so much to try out and experiment with. As you saw during the opening, there were a lot of classes to go through. The warrior, the knight, the pyromancer, the thief, the cleric. You can, you know, try variations and mixtures of characters to certain effect. There's plenty to play through, but all of the weapons work differently. Even shields have different attack stances and abilities, from just parrying to being straight up shield guards. There are weapons that you can have different effects to. Once you find blacksmiths, you can add bleed effects, poison effects, dark magic effects.
Yeah.
There's a variety of different combinations of whether you want to go two-handed, one-handed, whether you want to two-hand, one-handed weapons, dual blade, sword weapons, crossbows,
axes, pike, spears.
There's such a good mixture of weapons.
Whoa.
That guy just exploded into one of the sort of mini boss. He's like the big enemy. Shouldn't be too much to worry about. If you are having problems with this enemies like this, you can just run back and sort of
say you need your Estus flask,
climb up this ladder here and just
pick him off,
cheese him from range with a bow, should you have a bow. If not, you can, as I've said before with a lot of enemies in this game, you can just go, you know what, screw you, buddy, I'm just gonna run right past you.
See ya.
Because there is a ladder just here. And okay, well, I tried to cheese him, but did you really think I was going to go half an hour without being killed by an enemy in Dark Souls? No,
and that
no.
That pretty much...
That does bring us to time.
I was going to say,
exactly.
That pretty much sums up this game nicely, doesn't it?
It does indeed. I was lucky to make it that far without dying. I really was. So
nice.
It's at that point that I'm going to take a wave and take a bow and say, thank you for watching, everyone. Definitely, if you're nervous or apprehensive about playing Dark Souls, do it. You will not regret it. This game is hard. It is difficult. That goes without saying. But, you know, it's a challenge. It's a gauntlet, because once you've done it, that sense of worth, that sense of feeling you get from completing a game, making progress, I don't get in every other Dark Souls game. It's just not there. Sorry, in any other game, it's not there like it is in Dark Souls. So rewarding an experience. This game has great bosses, great fighting mechanics, brilliant music, awesome level design. It's gorgeous to look at. It's brilliant to play. There's only a few instances where the lock-on system upsets me, but this game is just, it's sublime. It is fantastic, and I've enjoyed it all the way up to the end. I haven't completed it yet, but I'm going to later on today so that I can start all over again.
Yeah.
Definitely check out Dark Souls.
Yeah, for me it reminds me of the old like platform games, old kind of like Nintendo Japanese games, where it was like, you had to kind of buy a magazine or you had to have somebody who was in the know on how to defeat these certain things, and it's all about timing, move mechanics, knowing what to do in those circumstances, and it's a real hark back to the old days where the games were really difficult because you just got to a boss, and unless you knew how to defeat it, you were just like clueless. You were just going to die again and again and again until you figured out
whether you needed to do lightning damage against this particular enemy or not.
And this is a three-dimensional modern day version of that kind of system, really. And it's the art design is, like you say, it's probably going to be timeless. It should last a long time, these games. Like, people will probably still be playing them and appreciating them for long to come. So, yes, definitely a piece of gaming history, and I highly recommend them myself, even if I haven't played 2 and 3 myself very much.
But like I said, Geoff, they're not
going
anywhere.
Get around to,
you can get back to.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday with another video game. Of course, video reviews on Thursdays. Sequentials taking a small break this weekend, but do tune in this weekend as Ian is going to be doing a 24-hour Twitch stream marathon playing Final Doom. Of course, you can always find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.